Hello and welcome to the Wellness Trinity podcast, where we interview top holistic experts and bring you natural solutions for modern day wellness. Let's get started with your host, Dr. Jacqueline.
Hi, welcome. Thank you for joining the Wellness Trinity podcast. I'm Dr. Jacqueline, owner of Wellness Trinity, where we provide natural solutions for modern day wellness. Just a little disclaimer before we get started. What we discuss in this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. What you do with the information is to be used at your discretion, as the recommendations are not intended to treat, diagnose, cure, or prevent any diseases. So without further ado, I have Glenda Compton here on the show today. She is a certified herbalist and fermentationist and a woman's wellness and fertility expert. And I met her at networking, like I meet a lot of my really awesome people that are on this show. And she's also a Las Vegas resident and has helped a lot of people here in town with her fermentation expertise. So today we are going to talk about herbs and fermentation for leaky gut. Leaky gut is such a hot topic here, and so many people have it and have no idea that little particles of food and parasites and fungus and candida and you name it are slipping into their bloodstream and causing problems. So we're going to learn about different solutions that can tackle leaky gut with fermentation and herbs. So Glenda Compton, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So why don't you just share a little story about how you got into this field? What makes you so passionate about doing all this?
Well, it started, the herb part, becoming an herbalist started many years ago. And I was having some problems and I didn't think I was going to be able to get pregnant. And so I searched for other means and other ways, and I turned to herbs, and that worked out all really well. And I have 4 healthy children. And then just throughout my life, I've had different issues, and some has been gut. So I decided to take things into my own hands again, and learning through ferments and becoming a fermentationist, I was able to help heal leaky gut myself, and so that has helped me greatly. And so with both of those experiences, I have this passion for helping women. And childbirth is one of the biggest issues that we're having, is fertility and that. And so my passion is to help women to go through all stages of the process of childbirthing, before, because you have to start before. So before, during, and after. Mm-hmm. And that's really what I love, is to just help these women be as healthy as they can.
Yeah, I love that you specialize in that as well, because a lot of people get pregnant and they don't realize, or they're trying to get pregnant and they don't realize how much their health before they get pregnant affects not only whether they can conceive, or if they can conceive, then if they keep the baby, and then if the baby is not miscarried, then how the baby is functioning afterwards, and also how they're functioning. A lot of women get postpartum depression and things of that sort. So I ended up doing some talks a few years ago as well about all those 3 different steps or parts of the whole pregnancy process too. And It just really opened my eyes during that time while I was studying about how much it all starts from the beginning, like you said. You summed it up perfectly.
Yeah. And the other thing is that people don't even realize is that the fathers have to, you have to start with the fathers too.
Yes.
They have their whole thing that they have to do. And it is, and it is just like an epidemic with just how things are turning out in this area. And so it's, if I can do something, it just really makes me feel good.
Right. Yeah. And I'm so glad you touched on that part too, because a lot of times when there's infertility challenges, for example, all the blame seems to be going on the woman. Like it's the woman's the only part in this, in creating a
she's only half.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
He has a part too.
I did have some clients where they both got tested and they did a hair test on me as well, or with me. And I ended up seeing a lot of aluminum in the guy. The girl didn't have so much. She had her own issues and gut challenges and things of that sort too. But I was like, man, if this guy doesn't step on board, one, I'm concerned about his health, but two, I don't know. I mean, they were having infertility challenges. So I was like, I don't know if they're going to be able to get pregnant. And so that's my big thing as well, too. It's just like the guy, it plays a part, too. I ended up doing another consultation for a similar situation. And the guy was the one that came in. The girl was on her own journey. But so anyways, I'm very passionate about this topic as well with you. So why don't we dive in, and why don't you go ahead and first explain what is leaky gut?
Well, leaky gut is, where your small intestines have, they've been damaged, and through that damage, small particles have, are able to leak into the bloodstream, I guess. Blockages, it could cause blockages that causes a lot of issues and that types of thing. But the main thing is that through the permeability of the lining of the intestines, particles are starting to leak in, I guess. So leaky gut,
Yeah.
which can cause a lot of problems and cause a lot of issues for you.
Yeah. So what is leaky gut? I mean, what causes leaky gut?
Well, leaky gut is when you're, like, in the intestine, you have little, I guess, villi, little different villi type hair things and that. And so with different causes of the different things, we'll go into that in a minute, I think you were going to say, but it will go in through, and it thins the wall and things push in, and so it just will push through and cause ruptures and different things like that. So
what are those things that push through and open the holes of the gut?
Yeah, it's undigested food particles, could be feces, it's all parasites. There's just so many different things, on that. And it's just well, let's see, how do I want to say this? The thing with that is, I guess, infections can cause it, stress. So that's basically it. You got to keep the intestines moving, basically. And so when they don't, then we're going to have the blockages, and it's going to get backed up. And through that, it's just going to mess things up, your microbe in that the intestines and all are, it's just not going to move possible. So through that blockages, they will rupture, get weakened, things burrow in pockets, and it becomes that's where infections can come in and just cause a lot of issues with that.
Mm-hmm. So what type of infections can happen? Well,
and then you can have SIBO, SIFO, or Candida yeast, different ones like that. So did you want to go through those?
Yeah, so why don't you explain what are SIBO and SIFO?
Well, SIBO is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, and what it is the blockages in the GI tract, which could be caused because of like low gastric acid or antibiotics, IBS, underlying in like long-term infections and that type of a thing. So it's usually caused by those type of things. Now, even diabetes is one of them that can cause this. That's why it's just so important to keep the gut moving on that.
Okay. So the fungal overgrowth, the SIFO, right?
Yes, small intestinal fungal overgrowth, and that's the overgrowth of yeast in the intestines. And with that, there's sort of a difference with SIBO and SIFO, because with SIFO, the yeast, you have abdominal pain, bloating, diarrhea, that type of a thing. And whereas SIBO, I think, is really the most important one to work on, or they're all important, but I'm saying, that could have the most damage, that, that can get into the IBS and, it's just some really, really nasty stuff. And so there are different herbs and things, because you're going to take care of them a little bit different on that.
Okay, good. Okay, and then we have candida and yeast, which is basically a yeast.
Yeah. And then that's a overgrowth, because what all these are is that your flora in the intestines is out of whack. So you need a healthy balance. And so with these, all of these causes, your body is out of whack. You've gone one way or the other, or too far, where it's the microbes, I guess we would say, and the bacteria, it is just gone out of control, like with candida, the yeast, it's just grown. And so it has exploded and it has shifted it. So that's what is making you ill and not doing well.
Okay. So just like candida can start to grow out of control, and fungus and bacteria, parasites as well can get out of control too, right?
Yes. And one thing is that the microbe is, it's yeast, it's parasites, bacteria, fungi. So there's a whole ecosystem. And in this ecosystem, if one is dominated, say by diet, like sugar, or, something has taken it out of balance, then that's what's throwing off your whole body in that. And when it comes to parasites, we have those. And there's good ones, and you need them. You need some of those parasites and bacteria and that type of a thing to have an equal balance. And if you don't, then that's when you're going to get sick and get these symptoms. And, and then sometimes it's hard coming back from them.
Yeah. So basically, we just don't want these type of things overgrown.
No. Because we do need them. And a lot of people don't like to hear that. It's like some people get really grossed out with parasites and all, but there are some really good ones. Where it's, we need organisms in our body to help function. They have purpose too. Everything's all bad on that. So that's one of the things that is their use, that they're there for us.
Yeah. I remember you telling me that parasites actually poop in us, and well, I already knew that part, which that sounds pretty gross, but then you actually said that parasite poop, some of it is good for us.
But it is.
I know some people listening to this right now. I'm wondering.
It is, well, because certain parasites excrete certain chemicals that our body needs, and to do, to cause chain reactions for us to function in that. So we do need some. But however, if it explodes and, in overgrowth, then it's going to tip the scale. And in that, when it does that, then that's when we become toxic. And so through that toxicity, that's going to, make us sick. We're going to have aches and pains and, get all of the other symptoms and diseases and everything else that come with it. But as I said, they can be a really good thing, that we do need them. And we always have them, and people don't really understand that. There's always parasites in it. I don't know anybody who is totally clean, and so it's like we just have to learn to live with them, I guess, on a good level. We need them, and then we want them to be our in. We want the friendly bacteria, and to help us to stay healthy in that. So yes, at a certain point we do need so many.
Yeah. Yeah, so many people will ask me about, because I talk about parasites a lot. It's the one thing that seems to get people's attention.
Mm-hmm.
We can talk about fungus or candida, and it's just not as exciting for some reason as a parasite.
Yeah.
And so people ask me, where do you get these from? And, obviously there's many lists of where these can come from. And
Mm-hmm.
I boiled down the overgrown growth of parasites. Because it's kind of like an epidemic of what's going on with the parasites overgrowing. And I boiled it down to the toxicity in the environment. Do you find that correlation is similar to that, as the environment is more toxic, then these parasites are growing more?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's so many ways we can get them, through just walking on the ground in the grass, which is good for us. We can pick up parasites, through our feet and that type of a thing. But yes, through the food, through, say the GMOs, because things are killing. If we're eating bad or sugar, it's going to help the bad bacteria grow, and and that can overtake the good bacteria, and that's when we're getting off. So it could be through foods, and stress is another thing that can cause things to go out of
Yeah.
balance.
Yeah, stress, it also lowers our good bacteria too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It does. It lowers the immune system, and so when that does it, then it gives a gateway for the certain bacteria to thrive and different things like that. That's why it's always good. We need sleep. We need just good healthy food, and just to keep us going.
So on the note of toxins, what are toxins that are infecting people's gut?
Well, there's, as I said, the GMOs that is a real problem on that. Genetically modified organisms, which are, it could be either plant, like plant food, meat, I should say, plant meat, or organisms, and they are being engineered, and they're having a devastating effect on us, I think, as a whole, because they are made to resist herbicides, and and also to produce insecticide. So through the GMOs, we're ingesting that, and our body doesn't know what to do with it. And with it's a large concentration of herbicide or insecticide, and it's just really wreaking havoc on us, because it's killing our good bacteria. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, well, and we wonder why people have so many digestive challenges nowadays too. When things like GMOs, they make insects' stomach erupt. So we wonder where that's coming from. Why, if it makes a insect's stomach erupt, what do you think it's doing to a human?
Exactly.
Okay, and then so we got glyphosate as well. That's another one, right? Stephanie Seneff.
Yeah. Well, glyphosate is an herbicide, and there's a lot of debate on that, and because they're saying, oh, it's good, it doesn't hurt us, and the government is saying that it's okay. However, it's a herbicide, and I don't know why that would be good for us at all, because herbicide is going to kill something, and if we're ingesting it, then I think its purpose would be to try and kill us, so I don't know.
That seems too simple to understand.
Right.
For it to be true.
It is. Yeah. So it's Yeah. On those, they're just both bad, and one of the things that, in the other country, like in Europe and all, they have banned all of this stuff, and here in the United States, and I was just looking at a box of cereal, when I'm in the aisle, and have you noticed that it says made with partially genetically modified engineering?
Whoa.
Like the GMOs, they are starting to label some of that, but it's like, it's in so much stuff. So read labels, because that's the biggest thing. You just want to stay away from all of that stuff as much as possible.
Yeah, well, the partially GMO label, that's kind of interesting. I don't know if I've seen that. I mean, I see
You haven't?
non-GMO, but
It's in a lot. I'm saying, just read, because it's all the way down at the bottom, but they do put it in caps, black cap letters, so that's something. Some companies are doing it, and it's some of the major companies that are putting that on there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think there will be a day where, I mean, there's already a day right now where a lot of people are waking up and realizing, like, maybe I shouldn't put toxins in my body.
yeah.
Maybe that might be why I'm sick.
hopefully there's some people who just don't care, and
That's
so.
true too. But anyone that really wants to feel good, at least that being number one, or even operate in life, it's like, man, you really have to kind of go through some hoops here. So yeah, since you work with women's wellness a lot and fertility, what do you want to explain some endocrine disruptors that we find?
Well, on that, some of them that it's very prevalent is that women usually are, maybe you found this out too, that sometimes women have more toxins because of the products that they're using. And so, like with the hairsprays, the hair products, nail polish, makeup. And so that is really interrupting the cycle of the hormones in us. And even receipt paper, there's just so many, with so many chemicals out in this world. We are a very chemical world, and through all of this, our body isn't set up really to process as much as what we're bringing in. And so it is disrupting. And I think that for women, because of the fertility and because of being the one that's carrying the child and that type of thing, you don't want to pass the toxins on to the baby. We should be really aware of it and careful, because of that. Plastics is another one, that's big, and that's, they're trying to counteract it with the BPA, right? I apologize. I always get that wrong. It's a running joke with my kids, with the plastics. But another endocrine disruptor is antibiotics too. Because we've had, that's just such a common thing that they really don't work anymore. I don't think they're having a hard time because of all the strains. The viruses and bacteria are smart. They know what to do to survive, and they're very cunning. It's surprising. So
yeah. So back to pregnancy, we have to really think about, like you said, we have to think about detoxing before even conception if we really want to have a good pregnancy, and then also be able to pass down good genes and not pass down toxins. People get worse throughout generations if the toxins are not dealt with before they're pregnant. So you just pass down your toxic load to your child, and then pass down then they pass down their toxic load to the next child, and then who knows what they're exposed to while they're living on Earth as well too. So that's why detox has to be a lifestyle at this point.
I think so too. It is very important on that.
So why don't we go in and dive in a little bit more about fermentation, since you are one of the fermentation experts around town here in Las Vegas.
Okay. A lot of people don't know what ferment, or they don't think they know what ferments are. And A ferment is a like pickles, sauerkraut, kimchi, and it is something that it's so simple, you know. What it is that you take the vegetables and the organisms that are on the outside of the vegetables, and that is what helps to make the vegetable ferment. And it's one of the best things that we could do because it's putting healthy bacteria through probiotics back into our body to help that balance out.
Okay. So sauerkraut. I think many people know of sauerkraut that might eat hot dogs or something like that if they're not on the other side yet.
Right.
Kimchi, a lot of Asians will eat kimchi. Let's see, kefir. Do you want to explain what kefir is?
Yeah. Well, kefir, there's yogurt and kefir. Kefir is a thinner version, and it's, because of the thinness, you can drink it, and it has more fat and more protein and more probiotics than regular yogurt. It's really good for you. And it's 99% lactose free. So between kefir and yogurt, I always go for kefir, and also not the sweetened ones with the sugar on that. But it's just like 10 times more overall than yogurts with the protein and the probiotics and everything else.
So why is that? Why does it have so much more?
It's just the bacteria that are in that. With yogurt, there's a lot of time it's sweetened, different the way they just process it.
Okay, so the processing makes a difference on how
yeah
many bacteria are.
And like a lot of kefir, I guess I do have some. I never buy it, so with the sugars and that, but it still has a lower content of sugar in it.
Yeah, don't you find it kind of ironic that a lot of these foods that are supposed to be good for our gut have a lot of sugar in it?
Yeah. I know.
Like kombucha, that's the next one. I mean,
yeah.
Look, I have this kombucha here. Now, this is water now because I drank it all earlier and I needed water. But this lemon cayenne one, and then I showed you the other day of, what was it, watermelon rose?
Yeah,
and
you did.
The sugar content in that other one actually is 0. This one is 2 grams for the whole bottle. Which, I mean, anything closest to 0, in my opinion, for anything, protein bars, whatever you talk about, is the best thing you can do. Even 2 grams. I'm like, I'd just rather not have the sugar, but 2 grams is really not too much in the realm of life, especially if someone's working out and just living. But most of them are not like that. I mean, if they are, let me know, because I would love to have more of that kind of stuff in my life.
Yeah. Well, on kombucha, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things with ferments. It's because of the live living organisms and bacteria that is fermented in them, that's helping with the gut and that. But a lot of people, when they first hear about, ferments and kombucha and that, and they go for that. And the thing is that they don't realize it has so much sugar in it. It has a lot of sugar in it. And so that's not good, because if you're going to drink it, another thing is that you're only supposed to have, like for a bottle of that size, you're only supposed to that's 4 servings usually. It should be around 4 servings, because when you first start taking ferments, you want to do it in small doses, because if you're not, then you're going to throw your system off. You're going to go, just take it more out of whack than what you probably already are. And so you have to introduce it very slow. And with kombucha, I know that's such a big win in all of those. You just really have to be careful, especially diabetics, and because of that sugar content. And as I said, just with any ferment, just do small portions. And when you make homemade ferments, they taste nothing like store-bought. not dated.
Mm-hmm.
They are so delicious, like pickles. When you do them, they're so crisp, and you can flavor them to yourself, and it's so easy. That's what they lived on for millions of years. They didn't have what we have, and they were really healthy people, and so it's just one of the best things that we could have.
So why are they good for us?
The ferments.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's on the outside of vegetables is organisms, bacteria. And so that's what is helping to ferment it up. You're using the apple cider vinegar, which is really good for you. And through that process, it's just expanding and growing the probiotics, and they just thrive in that environment, and they just love it. And so that's where it's coming from. And so those are really good, healthy bacteria and probiotics that is on that. And that's why, because it's going to help us to rebalance our system.
Okay. So that's basically what the goal of fermentation is to balance their system.
Well, yeah. Because you want to have more good bacteria than the bad. And that's a really, really good way to do it. It's natural. It's something that our body can adjust and assimilate and use. It can help with because of our environment in our body is able to help support them and sustain them in a healthy way. And they're going to help to crowd out the bad more you get it. Mm-hmm. However, like I said, you have to start out slow and do it in a proper way.
Okay. So why is it important to leave the peel on when you ferment?
The probiotics are on the peel.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think that I learned that when I learned how to ferment. I could be wrong. It's been a while since I fermented, but fermentation, when you do it at home, it's really not that hard, huh?
No, it's so easy. It's so easy. There's not a whole lot that you have to do. I mean, I've made, because basically it's just like cutting up some vegetables. Well, okay, like when we were talking about the ferments earlier, like beet kvass is really, really a good ferment, and it's beets with water. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Wow.
And then it ferments. The bacteria grows and thrives. It's fermented beets, and it's really, really great. And beets are good with iron, so that's really
okay.
good.
So you put them in a jar with water, and then you close the jar with like a mason jar with a lid, right?
Yeah.
And then
I believe that is it. Yeah, I'm not. I don't think that one has any apple cider vinegar in it. No, because a lot of times you do use ferments. In ferments, you use apple cider vinegar, because of the mother from the apple cider vinegar, because that's a live organism there. Like in kombucha, you have a SCOBY. That's a live organism, and it grows. You can see it grow, and you rip them off and that type of, tear them apart, and you can do it. So it's just these colonies of organisms that get together and excrete, do their thing, and it causes the fermentation and the bubbling, and that's what's good for us. That's what our body can digest, and helps balance out our microbe.
Okay, so let's talk about herbs now that are good for the gut. Your slogan is well-being for your whole being. How did that come out?
Well, as a women's wellness expert, I believe that our body is a whole system. And so we have to look at everything as a system, I think, all around us in that. And what I found is that I can work with women, and we can get them on a good diet. We can start helping with their, like if they have an issue, we can start working through that. And then, however, if they're not sleeping right, then it's not going to work. If they're in a bad relationship, if they're not happy at work or at home, then, it's just a small little piece of the whole circle of
Right.
the organism. And so you have to look at everything. You have to look inside, outside, and all around, I think, to get
Okay.
the whole picture, to be able to heal physically, spiritually, and mentally.
Right. Yeah. So herbs can be one part of it, and ferments could be one part of it. Again, if someone's not sleeping, if they're stressed, if they're doing the wrong type of job, and the list can go on, then anything that's causing stress on the body is going to just throw us off balance.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You definitely have to. It is all tied in together,
Okay.
everything.
Okay. So I'm glad we brought that note up. So on your note with the protocol, you have a protocol that you do with your clients,
Mm-hmm.
and the first thing is you stop inflammation.
Yes.
So why don't you break that down a little bit?
Okay. Well, the first thing when somebody comes to me and they're having some issues is that we want to look at it, and I want to calm the system, because usually, the body's I'm inflamed, it's just overloaded and overwhelmed. So first off is just calming the system down, and so that the body can start relaxing, because of the sympathetic and, system, and the parasympathetic, that type of a thing. So get it out of that fight flight mode, and let's just let it start calming down, because when it is inflamed and it's all up, your cortisol levels are up, your the stress, everything in that. So one of the things I like to do with my clients is slippery elm bark. And like for excuse me, gestational issues, digestive issues, slippery elm bark is something that's really good to use, because it comes from a tree and the Indians have used it for many years. It's one of the herbs that if your body is okay, so if you're, say, having diarrhea, then it's going to stop it. If it's going to help you wherever you need it to. And then it's just one of those, because herbs are food. And it's not medicine. It doesn't change the chemical things. It's a food that you can eat, and our body can assimilate it. Where on certain with prescriptions and all the medication and that, and all the side effects that go on and on and on, herbs don't have that. It is a source that our body can utilize, and so that's one of the beautiful things about herbs. You can't overdose on it. You can't have it. Another food that I always put people on is bone broth. Bone broth is so nutritious. It's it just really helps the body. You're gaining, because a lot of people are sick, weak. So that's another thing that's really, really great to help, because you need to get nourishment into them, and a lot of times you can't take it in a lot of forms. Whereas like somebody, if your stomach is upset, or your bowels and they're inflamed and you're having issues with it, you're not taking in the nutrients. If you're having leaky gut and it's going out into the bloodstream, you know what I mean? You're not absorbing, and that's one of the key things. We have to absorb nutrients to get healthy. That's what we build off of. That's what the body builds off of.
Yeah. So if we don't calm the system down and lower the inflammation, basically, then we're not going to be able to move on to the next step, which is draining and cleansing.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's just the first, so that they could do it, because or they can start to, because like I said, we got to get that nourishment into the system where it can help. Now on drainage and cleansing, it goes hand in hand. It's the you have to clear the plumbing out. You know,
Great way to put it. You got to clear things out.
you got to clear the plumbing out. And that's so important, because with the clogged system, you're just on toxins, on toxins, on toxins.
Right.
And you're not getting anywhere. So putting something good in, and it, you know, it can't do anything, that's just going to ferment in us. You know, that's just going to cause all the SIBO and the SIFO and all of the other things that we have, you know, and exacerbate all the problems. So the first off, it's just really making the bowels move. And, you know, so that's one of the key things that I always work on. You have to get that out, because once that gets flowing, then you can start doing other things.
Right. So it's when you say clear the plumbing, I saw this picture of like, you know how dogs, they go to the bathroom on the, just wherever. And sometimes if people don't clean it up, there's flies that start to go on, you know, their stool. And so if it's just sitting there, it's like the flies are attracted to it. It's just our gut, it seems the same way. If stool is just sitting there and rotting and it's not moving out, then it's no wonder why we're growing parasites. It's no wonder why all these other infections are growing out of control, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So that was a beautiful illustration of the whole clear the plumbing out. It's like if you never took out your trash.
Right. We keep carrying it around. Ugh, I know. That's
we never cleaned the lining of your trash can. I mean, it would stink after a while.
Oh, it does. And you know, people don't realize how much fecal matter we're carrying around with us.
Right.
It is just amazing. And that's the other thing, is that's where you're getting all the blockages, and so many people are having to have surgeries, and the polyps, and it just all of the different things. And so it's usually creating the blockages, and then it's the whole ecosystem of it's the blockages, then it's bursting out, you're getting leaky gut, and you know, then it's going into the blood system, which you see when you do your live blood cells analysis and that. And you know, it's just going out, and then where's it going? It's just going through the body. And look at how sick, you know, Americans are.
I get tons of people with pain, and you see all these different organs that we're talking about, like the liver and the kidneys. Well, we didn't really go into those exactly yet, we're about to, but the gut especially, all backed up. And and then, like you said, then it goes into the bloodstream, and then we wonder why now we're having a pain in our shoulder or our elbow or wherever it is on our body or throughout our body. And people have rheumatoid arthritis and things of that sort. And at the root of it, a lot of it is just toxicity and an overabundance of different types of infections that their body cannot clear well enough.
Yeah, the arthritis. And you know, one of the things, I was in a class yesterday with one of my mentors, and she was talking about how, you know, there's heartworms, and she said, I think it's a really large number of like 90% of brain surgeries, they're finding worms.
Oh my gosh, that
worms.
See, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one that talks about this. And I'm not the only one that says that. It's happening at a very large rate.
Yeah. And she said,
it almost in everybody's live blood analysis. Like the parasites, back to that.
Right. Well, yeah. Because parasites excrete something. And so going back to the parasites just a minute, I think they're so interesting.
I do too, actually. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Geek out about parasites here. But, you know, in their excretion, when they're hungry, it's like they control us.
Right, they do.
With their enzymes in that. Because when you're all of a sudden, you're like, oh my God, I got to have a hamburger. I just have to have it. You have a craving or a cookie or a sugar. And usually it's like, the parasite's hungry and he wants to eat. So they excrete something and it goes to our brain and it's like, oh, we need this. And then, you know, you can take a couple bites and it's like, oh, okay, I'm good. It's full. Right. it did its process.
Uh-huh. Yeah, well, or the other thing is, it's like these organisms, and parasites are just one that, that's very fun to talk about, because it's really strange to think about worms growing in our body. But, fungus and candida also
Yeah.
are very much like,
Yes.
feed me. That's what I
They
try to get
are, yeah. I mean, they
picture.
have an intelligence,
Yeah.
it's just really interesting. I mean, we have, a lot of people don't realize we do need them, and they're all over our body. It's just one of the things, like we're on this earth, we could be considered a parasite on this earth, so it just goes down to the lowest levels of that.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and that's parasite. So
Yeah. Well, and on that note too, I tell my clients, when they start to cleanse their body and really get these things under control, obviously, as you're mentioning, that we're still going to have these things in our body as long as we're living. We just don't want to see it in our blood. You can't see my microscope right here, but we don't want to see it in there because it shouldn't be in your blood.
Right.
You want your parasites and those type of things in our gut mostly, right?
Yes. Yeah. Contained.
Yeah. Or let's just
we
say
want them in their
regulated,
spot.
but not in your blood. Not at least that's
not in your blood.
That's my expertise.
Exactly.
You want it in your blood. So
yeah, we want them in their containment and doing what they're supposed to be doing, and not having a party somewhere else or something.
Right. Yeah.
Just on that. Yeah.
So what are herbs for the draining and cleansing process?
On some, well, for my protocol, when it comes to the herbs, when I start doing that, I do the gut herbs, and there's all different, there are different types, because you want to get a balance of herbs that are going to stimulate but also soothe. And let's see, I have a thing here where golden seal root, or fennel seed, ginger, lobelia. So it's just a combination of herbs that we want, because we want to clean that drain, but also to heal it while we're doing it. So you use the herbs in conjunction. And I have a formula that I use for that. So it gets things moving, but it also calms as it goes. So it has a chance, because you just don't want it to be really harsh. And yeah, so.
Okay, so the ones that you mentioned, are they particularly for the gut or the liver, kidneys?
Well, the way herbs work is, when you eat them, they go where they're needed.
Okay.
They go where they're needed, because our body can assimilate them, and it's like, oh, you need this. Say there's because for one of them, like for the gut, to kill parasites, a couple of good herbs is oregano and peppermint, and you have to get it into the gut. You don't want it going down. Those are hot herbs. The oregano is, so those can help kill the different things. But that's usually, when it comes to that, sometimes oils are better. Like oregano oil, and essential oils are really great too when it comes to healing in different areas of the gut, because they're herbs, but they're concentrated. So they're very powerful, and you have to be very careful about them. You can't just take, I think, where if you're eating herbs, even on some of them, there's some you have to be careful with, some, but and when it comes to oils, especially, just don't take them lightly, because they are powerful, and they're more powerful than just eating it. And what was the question again? I got up on that. Now I'm like, what was I answering?
It's okay. So what herbs you use specifically for the gut? So that which ones are more drawn to making that, we're talking about draining and cleansing?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was like, some of them I read. It's just a combination, and then, because Yeah, well, that's right. We were going on that. Well, basically, um, I find that when you get in tune with your body, and that sometimes you notice you'll crave things.
Hmm.
You crave things like what do you crave?
Um,
Like in a healthy.
Yeah, in a healthy way. Well, actually, it was funny because before we started this podcast, I was telling you how much of these Kavitas I've been drinking, and it was partly because it was on sale at Whole Foods for $2 a box. So I was like, this is the perfect. I haven't been drinking these for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so they've gone on sale, and I could just feel like my body wants this thing. And I've
Right.
been taking about 200 billion probiotics every day. And this is not my normal regimen. I mean, once you really balance your body, then you don't necessarily always need to take supplements or
Exactly.
probiotics. You would agree,
Exactly.
right?
And if you look at what are you going through?
Mm.
You're going
Well,
through stress,
I,
right? You're in a
you know
move.
what?
You have a lot. So
I
your
didn't think about
body is
that.
saying, I need boost. I need boost. You know?
Yes, this is the perfect example, actually. So while we're recording this podcast, I am actually in the middle of about to move out of state. I'm going to Vancouver, Washington, and there's a lot of things involved with that. So my office is not going to be here anymore, and as of now, I'm planning on just going all virtual. We'll see once I get there, because
Mm-hmm.
there's something about having an office too that's special, but I don't know. I think I might be able to reach a little bit more people if I focus more on my attention online. So that's a leap of faith. And we're gonna have a new house. It's a place that I don't really know anybody. I have a really good friend like 2 hours away in Seattle, but that's about it. And yeah, so I mean, we're just like literally taking the leap of faith and trying to close doors here. And I'm trying to plan on my goodbyes with everybody. And what else? Like right now, I'm going to go to a goodbye dinner with some family members, which I wish I spent some more time here in
Right.
the last couple of years with. But
Right now.
and while I'm recording a podcast, so that will be my life right now. Okay, so that's why I need a lot of probiotics. Thank
It's
you.
boosting your immunity up.
Realize.
And so if you look at it, I know that I will crave beets. And what is beets? Iron. And I have an issue with anemia at times. And so I always listen. And that's one of the wonderful things is that when you get in tune with your body and you get it, you balance it, then your body will tell you what to do. It's a magnificent organism that wants to run perfectly. It wants to, if you think about it, how long can somebody hold on to life when they're sick? It's like to the last breath at times, and that body just wants to stay alive, I think. And so just looking at it, with herbs, as I said, the beauty of it is that it's food and you can take it. So with those, for the bowels, it's a bunch of different ones. And also you want to look at the foods on that. And then when I cleanse, I don't really like the word detox. It brings up negative connotations to a lot of people, like pain, like
starving yourself, which isn't necessarily
right.
meaning that you're starving yourself. Like we need to detox pretty much every day of your life, which means you get the toxins out that you're exposed to.
Right.
That doesn't mean you have to starve yourself.
Right. So I like cleansing. It just seems a little more smoother, soothing. Mental thing, I don't know. So it because of the systems, and our body is it's a system, and so like once you clean the intestines and get that blockages going, then the next is working on the liver, because what does the liver do? It's the sponge that makes everything go through. It's probably not a great description of it. Filter. Okay, it's a filter.
Filter.
Right.
It is a big part of the filtration.
Yes, with the gallbladder, and that's very important on that. And so if you didn't clean out the lower bowels and all that, then it's just going to release a bunch of toxins. It's going to clog up the liver, and you're going to get sicker, and who knows what else is going to cause problems with that. So the next part we look at is the liver gallbladder. Barberry is a good herb for that one. And then from there, we're moving into the bloodstream, and red clover is a good cleanser because you want to cleanse it out. And so, and this is over a period of weeks. It's like, you know, it's not like, okay, do all this, do this, and this in a week. This is like a 6-week protocol, at least, or so. And, you know, because it gives the time, you want to release it gently. And that's the other thing. Herbs release gently. Herbs take time. If they're not instant, it's not going to be like a medication, and they don't have any side effects. So that's one of the beautiful things. And that's what I think Mother Nature has helped with, because it's like, oh, we need to slow this down a little bit, or, you know, to make it flow with that. And then you're going to go to the kidneys, because that's another filtration system. And, you know, they're just these little tiny things there. They're not, you know, that it takes a lot through it. And so juniper is really good for the kidneys. And
are you familiar with how to use juniper oil, essential oil?
I put it in a capsule and take it.
Like 1 drop, 2 drops?
4.
Wow, 4 drops.
Fill it up.
Okay, yeah.
I love it. I that's another one that I crave is I'll crave juniper. The smell of it, the taste of it, like trees. You know, trees are.
Yeah, that's a very interesting.
trees are cleansing. That's one of the things.
Yeah, trees
are cleansing, like slippery elm, the juniper. Well, that's the berry from that, but so some of those are really good on that. Yeah. So those are the ones that I use, and that's how I start with that.
Yeah. Well, you said trees are cleansing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's actually part of the reason why we are moving to Vancouver, is because there's a lot of trees everywhere.
They're filtration for our air.
Right. Yeah. You go there and the air smells clean, and you just feel good.
Well, we need the trees, they say, to clean all the pollution. They take it in. They're amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. We need to have more like plant a tree projects. As I'm thinking that I'm going to like Tree Central, but you know, places like Las Vegas can use some help.
Right.
I mean, there are trees, don't get me wrong. This place, you know, when you fly over, I'm actually kind of amazed how many trees there are here in Las Vegas.
Because of that, the neighborhoods, right? You know, like we have chaparral. You know, it's amazing is how many herbs we have growing around here on Mount Charleston, on Red Rock. We have chaparral, mullein. I mean, there is so much right under our feet that we don't even know about. You know, like chaparral is a really good cleanser. It's you know, it smells great. I love it, but it's bitter on that. So
you said cleanser. Is there something specific it's good at cleansing?
The whole system.
Oh, okay. Overall.
Chaparral is good at cleansing the whole system.
I haven't really used chaparral before.
Yeah,
maybe I have
strong. It's strong.
Okay.
And I don't know. I just heard that the FDA took 3 or 4 herbs off of the market. They keep taking herbs off of the market.
Well, I'm glad they put CBD back on. Yeah. You want to talk about taking away
That's stress? A tree.
I took a couple of drops of this before we got on here with all that stuff I just mentioned going on.
Right. There you go.
I felt good. I was like, oh, now I can do this.
Yeah. Well, that's a tree, you know, right there.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know what the funny thing is? I mean, on the CBD note, since we're talking about that, you know, it's not what like someone like me can sell, who's not a cannabis dispensary. It's not marijuana.
Yeah.
And when you think about it like that, it's hemp. I mean, yeah, they're sister brother plants, but it's not even the same plant. So first of all, we shouldn't be looking at it the same way.
Right.
It's and not psychoactive.
You know, hemp has had so many uses for so long back in history, you know, that people don't even realize that. So, yeah, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
And I wanted to bring something up too about the liver and the gallbladder, is that when we do the liver and the gallbladder, usually we're doing a tincture. I'll have them on a tincture because we want our bitters, how bitters are so good. And you should have like a spray of little bitters or something before you eat, because it starts the process in the mouth that opens up the whole digestive system as you go down. You know, the salivary glands, you know, so it starts up here because you want it to start here so that by the time whatever you're taking gets down to where it needs to be, then it's already active. Instead of swallowing something and then it's going to bypass the whole esophagus and all that, and it's just going into the stomach where the acids could just, you know, destroy it. Because you got to have your acids up, and that's one of the things with the leaky gut too, is low acid. So you want to get something to get that acid going. And then there's also on the other part, too much acid or not enough acid. And, you know, so trying to balance out with the acid it's something that needs to be worked on.
Yeah. Well, most of the time people have low stomach acid, right? Because of all the infections that are in their gut.
Yeah, because about how we eat, the sugars and all of the diet, you know, there's not a lot of nutrients in food anymore. And so, and big meat eaters. And, you know, we were talking about the blood diet, you know, when we were before this. And, you know, that's one thing I find that's really interesting. Like, my daughter's an O, and she loves meat, and she can, you know, just really handle meat really well. Whereas, you know, my husband and I are A+, and we have to take digestive enzymes in that if I'm going to do meat. I don't do a lot of it, but if I do, because of the low acid, you know, more, I guess they said that if it's believed, you know, more along the lines of vegetarian.
Yeah, and this is the blood type diet. Yeah, I used to use that a little bit before too. I think it's a good place to start.
I do too. Yeah, it helps to get, because it's interesting to correlate, you know, what's going on with somebody and how they're eating, and so that does have an impact.
And I should say, like, it's also very affordable. In the long run though, you know, doing testing to figure out what your allergies are, where your mineral balances are, and all that kind of stuff can really help refine someone's protocol. And sometimes, you know, what I notice is that people, like, on the blood type diet, it might say that you shouldn't eat something like a type A. I'm a type A too, and it says you shouldn't eat coconuts. Well, I'm part Filipino, so that means that we eat coconuts. It's in my DNA, and so that was a little disheartening. I mean, and you think about coconut oil, and there's so many coconut products on the market now that are great. And so I did an allergy test, and I wasn't even allergic to coconut oil. So, I mean, coconut, I should say. So that kind of gave me a little bit different perspective of the blood type diet. But yeah, I mean, if someone can't afford to, you know, to get a blood or a food allergy test, which they can get expensive, then I don't know, why not try it? You know, see if cutting some of those foods out for your blood type, the ones that don't belong for your blood type, it might work, you know?
Right.
So, and even just the elimination diet in general, I mean, there's certain allergens, like, or foods that tend to be allergens, like wheat, for example, that if you just cut that out, your gut's gonna love you. Your fungus is gonna hate you at the same time. But
right.
So
exactly.
Anyway, okay. So your third part of your protocol is to rebuild. So what does that look like?
It's well, eating well, you know, and it's going back to looking at the whole system. We're going to put in good, healthy, whole foods with that. And I like, once we've done, well, also during this, the cleansing and all of that, you're going to eat a bland diet, you know, if possible. And that, so that it gives the body time to rest. And so I would like to, you know, once I do it, once we start on the rebuilding thing, it's like, do add on, you know, like, see how a food is affecting you. If you're having an allergy or allergenic Oh, I apologize. I'm stuttering here. Allergic reaction to the
I'll
food.
take the blame because I made you reschedule this to 6 p.m.
I know, it's late. So, allergic reaction.
My fault.
So, because during all this time too, I like to have, have them on yoga, meditation, good sleep, good healthy eating, have fun too.
Yeah, fun. Fun is important in life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically just overall wonderful, healthy lifestyle type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And eating well is just a part of that foundation.
Right. And there are herbs that like to help with building up, and it just depends on what's going on with the person, like what herbs we're going to use, to help them to build it up, like to build iron. And I just blanked out on the herb.
Yellow dog.
Yes, thank you.
You're the herb expert. Yellow dog.
It is, absolutely. So with yellow dock, exactly. So looking at what they need and to help build in that regards.
Okay, yeah. Okay, that's a perfect example.
It is.
Okay, so you're gonna host a super tonic workshop in a few weeks, October 12th here in Las Vegas. And why don't you go ahead and tell the listeners a little bit about that?
Oh, great. Yeah, Super Tonic is a ferment. It's easy to make, and I'm having a make and take. So I bring all the materials, and we're going to chop up 5 easy vegetables, and common household vegetables, and apple cider vinegar, and make a mash, put in a jar, and let it sit for 2 weeks, and just you have a super tonic. It's great it's antimicrobial, antibacterial. It helps you with your energy, probiotics. It's really great. So it's really fun. It's super easy. So we're going to have this at, are you going to tell the place, or did I?
Oh, you can tell.
Okay, it's going to be at the Idea Box, and it's October 12th, 1 to 3. And if you'd like more information, you can contact me with the contacts at Glenda Holistic Mentor at gmail.com. So it's really fun.
Do you have a website?
Pardon me?
Do you have a website?
It is in the process of being rebuilt.
Okay, so do you want to repeat that email again?
Yes, it's Glenda Holistic Mentor at gmail.com.
Okay, perfect. And that's also if they want to work with you in other ways, that's a great place to reach out to you as well. Okay, perfect.
Yes, it is. At this point, yes, it is. And I'm also on Instagram, and it's either under Glenda, I don't know, I believe it's under Glenda Holistic Mentor. Or Glenda Compton, because I get them, I have them, they're intertwined. So sometimes I forget, like, I don't know which one is it. But either way, Glenda Compton or Glenda Holistic Mentor, you can find me.
Awesome. Okay, well, so if you want to meet Glenda live, the Super Tonic workshop is going to be phenomenal. And I will not be there, sadly, because I will be in Vancouver with trees.
I know.
With the trees.
I know you didn't get one.
I will be breathing them in and figuring out what I'm doing next. With this, online podcast and everything else that is going on with the social media and things like that, and helping you guys. So I am excited that I should probably have a little bit more time to maybe even create some more vlogs and videos and content that you guys can watch. So thank you guys for listening, and we will join in next week.
Thank you for listening to the Wellness Trinity podcast. Be sure to subscribe for more wellness tips to help you achieve optimal health. Don't forget to rate and review so we can continue to bring you the best content. See you on the next episode.